To celebrate the release of the new Halloween movie, as well as the season itself, I'd like to have a little chat about, well, one of the unloved middle sequels of the franchise. More specifically, the ending of said unloved middle sequel. Halloween 5, or Halloween: The Revenge of Michael Myers, was released in 1989, barely 1 year after the much more well-liked Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers came out. This close proximity between the two films was not premeditated and is a direct result of Part 4's acclaim and profit, putting pressure on the studio to immediately pump out a fifth. So much so that the screenplay to Part 5 contains a few elements that the team behind the movie weren't even entirely sure of themselves, including the addition of the psychic connection between Michael and Jamie, his niece, a druidic tattoo on Michael's wrist that we've somehow managed not to see up until now, and of course, the Man in Black. And no, not Johnny Cash or the Stephen King villain. This Man in Black is shrouded in mystery. He appears unannounced and more or less just walks around menacingly. He's never identified or even much addressed within the film, and remember, I'm speaking strictly within the confines of this movie. I am well aware of the elaboration given in both versions of Part 6. That's irrelevant to my point. My point being that regardless of the writer's somewhat aimless approach to penning the century to the franchise, I think they unintentionally created one of the most haunting moments within it. Before I talk about the exact moment in question though, I'll briefly relay the story as it happens. After the events of Part 4 leave Michael dead and buried, literally, and his niece Jamie suffering from some undefined Myers madness, they both have some pieces to pick up in the interim. She's left in the children's mental hospital and he's, well, dead for a whole year. But unsurprisingly, he wakes up and starts killing side characters until the final showdown with Jamie, appropriately enough, in his childhood home. During this showdown, Dr. Loomis devises a rather morbid trap for Michael, using Jamie as bait that ultimately, with the help of tranquilizers and a plank of wood, results in his capture, which brings us to the ending. Now, Jamie being a scared, wounded little girl with a human monster trying to kill her is naturally brought to the safety of the police station. The same police station where Michael is being processed, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, she says her piece about her uncle and waits to be taken away from the nightmare that she just barely lived through.
Well, he'll stay till the day he dies.
Never die.
However, something happens that no one considered. That's right, our resident unseen Man in Black arrives. The scene plays out mostly at a distance, from Jamie's POV, hearing gunfire and screaming and all around chaos without really seeing anything. She makes her way back into the station to find it ruined. Bodies everywhere, smoke and debris, and that would be enough. But she comes upon Michael's cell, less blown open and more melted. Now, assuming that this is shown in relative real time, the entirety of what happened took less than 2 minutes. That's less than 2 minutes to kill every cop in Haddonfield and literally dissolve steel. And remember, this isn't some trained spec ops team with thermite charges. This is one man. I don't know about you, but that kind of evil power, that much of a grim presence, and even just the whole dark, spur-booted aesthetic makes me think of just one thing: the devil. Now, bear with me and think about it for a second. In context, it all makes sense.
But you never looked into his face, did you? You never saw his eyes. You never saw that nothing, no expression, blank. Huh? My memory goes back 12 years.
After a canonical decade of being hailed as evil incarnate, said to have the devil's eyes and with no quantifiable humanity left within him, is it all so hard to believe that some unholy divine intervention is in the cards here? Evil begets evil, and Michael has proven himself time and time again to be just that. The true accidental genius in this ending can be attributed almost entirely to the fact that the production team did not know what this ending meant. They had a looming release date and they were slaves to the script, so they just shot the pages and moved on. And thank God for that. Do you honestly think that if this Man in Black were Michael's secret twin brother or just Dr. Wynn like he's rewritten to be in Part 6, that this is how the scene would have played out? Absolutely not. So in some backwards way, we can thank the studio for forcing this movie into a rushed existence, because that rushed approach gave it the only truly noteworthy moment in the whole piece. This haunting sequence showing us the near victory of good over evil being torn away at the last second by what we can read as literally evil himself is remarkable in how hard it hits. Never mind the franchise fatigue at play in this movie, or the fact that the cliffhanger never gets a proper follow-up. The fact of the matter is, in isolation, this ending is flawless.